Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to X Corp. Or I'm sorry, X Factor. I'm sorry, Solo Media. Welcome back to Solo Media as we are here to talk about episode, 6 of X-Men 97 Season 2, Danger.ex. And this is a big episode, not only for the X-Men, but also for Polaris, who I'd say is, the central focus of this episode, as well as the dangers of, the danger room. Because if you noticed in the main trailer, the sentient AI robot version of the danger room, we knew we were going to see that in this season. And yep, this is that episode. Again, a lot to go over here. But Mike, just general thoughts before we start getting into it. What are your thoughts on this episode and where it now brings us going into these last 3 episodes after this for this season?
First off, Professor X is whipping ass in a damn wheelchair. He stopped, drop, and roll on the girl. It's crazy. He had laser beams in that chair the whole damn time. Crazy. But no, I thought this was a good episode in terms of going back into the X Mansion. We're now in present day, but now the X-Men are now legalized where they can't. There's a law put in place where they can't be active and stuff. They can still exist, but they can't be doing any type of missions or anything like that. They've been by order of the U.S. government, while X-Factor can go on and thrive and be ICE agents. But the point I like with this is that we're picking off with Polaris. Polaris definitely the standout in this episode, but and I liked how they definitely dive into not her just being a wild card, but even from the episode with Jubilee, the X-Force episode, that we still know that she's just there just to do the right thing, but she ain't. But the formality of how things have gone has not been the best on the X-Factor, where she's like feeling like, hey, listen, people are still thinking that I'm like my father, because she is the daughter of Magneto, but she doesn't really have no close relationship with him, which is, you see in this, that you were like, oh wait, she's gonna find her dad's dead, but like you don't really know him like that, so but yet at the same time you fear him because of just of what his reputation is to the world, especially after last season with what they call the E-Day, right? We've had like a major EMP on the entire planet Earth. Crazy. And I feel like they did a good job of not letting your past define you, or nor where your parents, who they were, and define who you were going to be. But at the same time, in order to learn something more deeper about yourself, you got to learn where you came from, learn who your father is. Don't reject it as a part of you, but you get to decide how you want to utilize that for your story, and I feel like they did a good job of balancing out, and also with the supporting characters around there. Bishop as well being away as well, part of that, along with the other remaining X-Men, again in the situation when we get to this danger room plot in X-Men 97.
So again, going into this episode, so as we have said, Polaris basically is a wild card. So she is out on a mission to take down General Stryker and a few of his anti-mutant followers from, supplying arms, in a time where Magneto is dead and, everyone is still feeling the effects of Genosha and E-Day and everything that Bastion was doing last season, and again, so, as we said, wild card, and everyone's like, oh, she's acting up again. She's acting like her father, to where she has to keep reminding people many times, I did not know Magneto. I had no close relationships to him. You want that? Go talk to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. They had more of a connection than I did. But it's like people keep thinking, oh, she's gonna be like her father, to the fact that she is fired from X Factor. And, no matter what the government says, no matter what Havoc and the others say, it's like, she knew it was only a matter of time. She was brought on, but at the same time, there was always these apprehensions that everyone had just because of who she is in relationship to one of the most dangerous mutants on the planet, at least in terms of humans' perspective on that, and some mutants, but humans' perspective on that. So it was only just a matter of time. But I really like how, again, we're now in present day. X-Men are currently in present day, back in the mansion. It's for the most part cleaned up, but we got our X-Men here, the whole team. Logan and Morph are No, more they're here, but like Logan's not in this episode. I guess he's still like on his own even after last episode. But everyone's here, including the Generation X kids. You know, we got Quentin, we got Sync, we got Monique, we got all of them here as well. And now Polaris is coming in. Storm is head mistress of the mansion too. She's head mistress of the Xavier Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am so glad about that. But before I talk about Polaris though, we got to talk about how this episode opened up. Because we thought we were just reliving Magneto's death scene from episode 4 again. No, this was Professor X using the Danger Room as therapy. And I'm just like, first off, Xavier, I get you're screwed up after that, but like, that is the last thing you use to do that. And it ended up becoming his you know, little, well, not downfall, but like it ended up becoming a danger that he had to, no pun intended, he had to deal with. So I want to know your thoughts on like Xavier's mental state when we find him versus how we'll see him at the end of the episode, his mental state after seeing Magneto killed right in front of him. You know, we talked about that before back with like episode 4, but it's like now that we are 2 episodes ahead and, you know, seeing him using the Danger Room in the sense, how do you feel in terms of where Xavier is currently going? Because we've talked about Onslaught and, you know, we see how this episode ends with him, but still, what are your thoughts on that?
I think this was also just setting the seeds again. We talked about Onslaught being teased, but him reliving that was a traumatic experience. But for him using the Danger Room for that, some people feel like they need to relive their, you know, memories in order for them to move on, right? If I had that ability, I probably would rehearse some things because again, it's like, wait, did it exactly happen the way I remember it? You know, and also the feelings of having a sense of acceptance to realize, hey, okay, all right, I've seen what I've seen, now I can move on. But he hasn't. He's still repeating it over and over again and sensing that he can just find some sense of connection to Magneto that he lost. But the Danger Room, this new AI mess, you know, Claude and all that stuff, Claudia, I'm gonna call it Claudia or something, or Gemini, which pick one, just pick one. But and the way how it learns your pattern behavior and realize, okay, you want to do something different. This answer is not acceptable for you. I'm going to improve and change, make it more aggressive and more dangerous and stuff. And just because you keep rehearsing it again, and this is a part about the metaphor or the analogy of the message of this episode, talking about acceptance and learning not to just accept your past, but accepting to move on, and also accepting the parts of yourself that you never fully accept because you end up rejecting and fearing it for most of your life. I'm not like my father. No, but you are your father's daughter, you know? So that is a part that you cannot change. And I think that is a part of it, accepting change to happen and to move on, which also not only just with some of these characters, but with these, you know, or organizations like the X-Men turning into X Corp. So yeah, I think that's what really is, that Professor X really didn't had an issue accepting the fact that Magneto is gone, at least for the time being.
Yeah, at least for the time being, because you know, if you know anything, again, we'll see how long it takes within the show, but you know, no one stays dead forever in comics, especially on the mutant side. You know, I mean, hell, Krakoa era, they definitely don't stay down for long. But going back to Polaris, it's like, yeah, no. As I said, the entire episode trying to just prove, like, she doesn't have to prove that to the X-Men or to Xavier, but it's like to the entire world, like everyone just sees her as Magneto's daughter and not as her own person. And I think this episode, she definitely gets the chance to show that while also discovering that, yes, she is not her father's. She did not know her father, but she has a lot of him within her. And I really like that moment of like Xavier, you know, in their fight against Danger, where it's like, you know, you are him, and like I can share, like, you maybe did not know him, but I can share the parts of me that I knew from him to you, so that way you can experience the type of person that he is. And I love how they integrated it with all of his good moments from last season and this season, of, you know, his whole speech in episode 2 of last season, like, I am trying to be better, or him defending them against the giant Omega Sentinel in Genosha, you know, protecting the Morlocks till his last breath, of, you know, avert your eyes, child, you know, not trying to have another person live through what he did. You know, only the good. She probably saw some of the bad memories too, but in terms of like the good memories and accepting all of who Eric was, allowing her to accept all of who she was in order to unleash her full capabilities. What that means for her going forward, we'll have to wait and see. Will her costume upgrade? Because there are some costumes out there for Polaris that do incorporate a helmet of her own, so who knows. I'm definitely excited to see where her journey goes, and I'm excited to see her now part of the X-Men, or I'm sorry, X Corp. And again, we'll get to X Corp in a little bit, but also just the fact that we got talked about the Danger Room. The fact that, again, for those who know, that there has been that time where the Danger Room has gone crazy and its AI system has created its female metallic body, and now we finally have that here. And I just got to say, the threat of the Danger Room is like, because again, the Danger Room was always used as like a training grounds to, prep the mutants and the X-Men up so that way they were prepared, or at the very least, they had some time to plan out. We've seen it in many adaptations in the comics and video games and the X-Men Fox films, that opening moment in X-Men X3 Last Stand. But now you're fighting against something that knows all of your moves, both your move sets and how you think, because of cerebral tech that it has. So I just want to know your thoughts in terms of like Danger as a character, the Danger Room AI robot now here, fighting them in the wreckage of Genosha. How did you feel about that? How did you feel about Danger as a character now that it is truly a character?
Yeah, again, this is something new, like from terms of animation, because we've seen Cerebro being like an integral part of this, but now that the Danger Room has now evolved into that, just saying like, hey, some of your devices become your worst enemies, right? Even when the devices that are used to help you grieve and help you cope with what's happened. And I feel they did a good job of balancing out, but also create an existential threat of leading to the X-Men evolving into X Corp, and also just that the new fears in the world that's going on with X-Factor and everything. It's like, the way the X-Men have been operating, the last few years, is like, it has to change. And it's like, man, you got to prepare them more for bigger threats. And hence, then this is what happens where Danger evolves. So I'm pleased in terms of how they added that element from the comics to the show, just to kind of like just spark some things up and make the show a little bit lively in terms of even like, this is not no foreign entity. This is within the X-Mansion itself. And I think that's a part where it's just fascinating about how your own devices become your worst enemy, especially when it going back to one of the most recent dangers of the X-Men or mutant population, which was the genocide at Genosha. So that, to me, I think that, again, that's just kind of going to about the going to points of origin of trauma for a lot of people, even viewers. We'll never forget that episode.
Oh yeah, no, never will. And also I like the fact that even before we got to the X Corp part, the fact that we already got Scott, Jean, Beast, and then later on the rest of them already wearing their new suits, from the 2000s Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly new X-Men run, the yellow X jackets, the suits that they are wearing in that iconic, again, probably one of the other most iconic modern day X-Men runs. It was just great to see those now brought to animation, even before the whole X Corp parts. They already had those ready to go. But again, as we said, like, everyone had their moment, and then we get to the end where they destroy Danger, and Charles realizes that, especially with the threats to come, especially with Apocalypse still out there, they can't just let the threat of the US government or the UN continue to keep them from doing what they know is the right thing, which leads to X Corp, now based out of Genosha, where they will be, doing the missions that need to be done in order to protect the world from human and mutant threats. Of course, this now puts this up against X-Factor, because now they're like, oh, if Charles thinks he can just do this, through these ways, he's got another thing coming. But yeah, I mean, we knew this was going to come. We knew this was going to be the case where we were going to get X Corp, because there was some, like, I wouldn't say leaked stuff, but like when promotion for X-Men 97 Season 2 was coming out, we knew X Corp was going to be a thing. And now we got it. Again, everyone in the new X-Men suits as well. So it's good to see. But we, of course, need to talk about the final moments, because we're still in present day, but now we're in Egypt. Apocalypse has converted his brand new horseman, the Horseman of Death specifically. This is the Horseman of Death, and it is none other than freaking Remy LeBeau Gambit. He is finally back, but now as a horseman. We don't see his full look, but he was wrapped up in his playing cards. He's all gray now, but it's Gambit. We see the face. We don't hear the voice, but, you know, Gambit's now officially back. And now that leads another danger that they have to deal with when it comes to the season. So it's just like, we knew this was coming, but what were your thoughts on the ending part with Apocalypse bringing Gambit back now as the Horseman of Death?
Well, before we even get to that, when they shot up to Athens, which is where they were, where Apocalypse was resurrecting Gambit, did you catch what was in the background?
What specifically are you referring to?
In the stars?
Oh, in the star. Was it Watsu there again?
The Watcher was in the background.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. So, but it's so seamless because, like, you would have gotten it by first glance, but I was like, wait, I got it at first glance. You didn't catch it, but yeah, I was like, yeah, the Watcher was in the back. It was in the back. And listen, I am waiting for a moment in the MCU for them to show that live action of just something in Doomsday. If we just see something in the stars, just in the back, that's all we need. That's all we need. That's all. You don't have to get it. I don't need to intervene. I only watch. Okay, cool. But we need at least to see you. That's the viewer. But yeah, the Watcher was there. But yes, we know that Gambit was coming back and as a Horseman. And it'd be interesting to see how this is going to play out. But yeah, he did have the white hair in there, but we didn't see fully his full transformation, what that entails. But yeah, it's time now. Gambit's back, and now it only knows what's going to happen for the remaining episodes. But I'm liking that we had this plot line and then like let this linger on for like multiple seasons. Say, will he come back? Will they? Won't they? Whatever. No. I'm glad that they did this, and I'm a fan. I'm intrigued to see how they're going to do this different with Gambit now as a Horseman of Death. If it's anything else, not just resurrected, but you're a Horseman of Death. What does that even mean? Because again, we already know in the comics how Gambit is genetically nerfed because how powerful he is. So it's like to see that, what does that entail? That'd be interesting. Though. But yeah, I thought it was good, and I'm really excited to see what we got for the remaining episodes. We're almost there.
Yep. We only got 3 more episodes left. It's like, within the season. So where will this entail? It's all on the playing cards now, if you know what I mean. How are they going to react to Gambit being back? Who are the other Horsemen that Apocalypse will have alongside him and Gambit in their final battle? What will be his play now against X Corp and X-Factor and X-Force, who we haven't seen in a good minute too as well. Like, where is Cable and Jubilee and all this? It's like, with the threat of Apocalypse, I hope that among everything else, they're all like, yeah, no, this is not the time for bickering between any of us. There's a bigger threat out here, and we just all need to stand together, which we know they will. But how long is that going to take? But yeah, guys, we got 3 more episodes left. 3 more weeks of X-Men 97 season 2. The season has been phenomenal, from where we have started to where we are currently, and I cannot wait to see what they got left. But yeah, guys, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you guys have thought about this episode, what you are hoping to see within the next few episodes. Who do you think the other Horsemen, besides Gambit, that Apocalypse is going to be bringing down on the X-Men are? I got some ideas, but who do you think? Let us know in the comment section down below. But yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.